to Trump tariffs. This happened yesterday. Trump said 25% tariffs on all cars not made in the United States. What does this mean for business? What does this mean for the economy? Here is Trump saying this announcement yesterday on March 26, 2025. Donald Trump announces 25% tariffs on all cars not made in the United States.
Beginning of Liberation Day in America, we're going to take back just some of the money that has been taken from us by people sitting behind this desk or another desk that's not quite as nice, but they have their choice of 7, as you know. And we're going to charge countries for doing business in our country and taking our jobs, taking our wealth, taking a lot of things that they've been taking over the years. They've taken so much out of our country, friend and foe. And frankly, friend has been oftentimes much worse than foe. And this is very modest. And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We start off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at. And we go to 25%. And basically, as you know, and as you've been saying, not reporting as accurately as it should be reported because it's a massive story. Business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs. And I think also because of November 5th, the election.
You know what vehicle is made completely in the United States of America? Tesla. This does mean it's time to buy a Tesla made in America. Electric, made in America vehicle. Now, what does this mean? You know, obviously car prices are going to increase until they get their stuff together. But we know that Honda, a lot of these other manufacturing companies that develop these type of cars are bringing manufacturing back into the United States, which is fantastic. But in the interim, until they get that stuff handled, it's going to be a little bumpy, especially if you're looking to buy a new vehicle. But the thing is, not if it's made in America. And it's crazy because I was looking at Tesla stocks. Tesla stocks are going to go up. They're going to continue to go up. All these other manufacturers are going to go down. And you know what's crazy is we import all of these cars in the United States, and they don't allow us to sell United States cars in their places. How is that fair?
Subsidies. So it is a brittle economy as we transition away from that to the private sector.
But the Fed and Fed officials are correct then that there will be at least short-term pain as tariffs kick in.
So I don't think that there's going to be material short-term pain from the tariffs. I think the short-term pain is coming from the reorientation of the economy from the government to the private sector. Now, of course, as you know, the tariff situation is still developing, and the president will decide what he wants to. The president will decide what the tariffs are on April 2nd, and has been very clear telegraphing that.
Let's talk about the tariffs, what's coming down April 2nd. The president has tasked his advisors and his team with an immense job here to come up with these tariffs for next week. What can you share about the contours of this? Should we expect country by country tariffs, sectoral tariffs being announced?
Sure. So, look, it's important to calculate a whole variety of things when you're thinking about about fair and reciprocal tariffs. Those include outright tariff rates that other countries charge us, and they also include non-tariff barriers, right? Ways that countries prevent us selling our exports into their markets through means other than tariffs, through not opening their markets, through intellectual property theft or lack of enforcement, through currency changes, through regulatory differences that prohibit our products from entering their markets. And you have to consider this entire host of things, right? And so the dimensions of analysis can get really big really fast. Now, that goes at odds with another principle, which is that simplicity is great, right? And so simplicity is a virtue when you think about these things in one sense, because it makes it more difficult for other countries to game. Now, the situation is developing. The team and the president are entertaining options. It would be wrong for me to get ahead of that, but we'll find out soon.
Stephen, the other thing that a lot of people here at Bloomberg have been talking about is this paper that you wrote.
So what does this mean ultimately? Just like I said a little bit earlier, car prices are going to go up. Plain and simple. Other goods are going to go up. There's going to be this kind of bumpy scenario regarding economics. Interest rates are not going to drop, all this other stuff. But they have to fix what has been done all these years. And just like in that interview with Brett Baer and Elon Musk and the Doge team, talking about all this fraud, waste, and abuse, we got to fix all that. If this was a Fortune 500 company, if this was a business, this business would be out of business, wouldn't have no business. The only reason why the United States is still afloat is because we can simply just print money. And there's no mas of that. No more printing money. We have to fix all the crap and then we're basically hitting a hard reset and redoing everything. Everything's going to be systematized. Everything's going to be a lot easier, but it is going to take a while to get there. It will be bumpy, then smooth out. I 100% agree. This year, the remaining of the year, maybe until next year, summertime, it's maybe even more. It just depends. It's going to be wild. Not crazy, but just know that it's going to be tough. You know, it's going to be a little short-term pain, if you would, right? Talking in totality here. Cash in, cash out, I say. Let's jump into this next one here. Be sure to smash the like button if you kindly would. It does help with the YouTube algorithms. Walmart tanked valuation by $22 billion. This coincides with what they're talking about in regards of the tariffs. Walmart CEO Doug McMillon says customers are exhibiting stress behaviors and already tanked the company's valuation by $22 billion. After news broke on Tuesday that the consumer confidence of the U.S. plummeted to a 12-year low, McMullen noticed that consumers are stressed. Yes, because of the unknowingness of what's going to happen in regards of the economy as a whole.
So that was interesting to me, Tom Lee, as I bring you into this conversation, the head of research at Fundstrat and a CNBC contributor, because he's talking about animals in hibernation, not animals dying. It goes back to this idea of uncertainty around things like trade and tariff policy, and the fact that as of right now, in the midst of that uncertainty, perhaps companies are sitting on their hands before they start to make any kind of future investments. So if
and they are. I noticed that in totality, some companies are sitting on their hands before, you know, after April 2nd, maybe, you know, at the end of April, they'll make a decision, but they're uncertain about the volatility in the market. Walmart can shove it, by the way.
that's the situation, how much does getting some sort of certainty now frame the investment thesis for how you position yourself moving forward?
I think that's exactly what's happening now, Morgan. First, in 2018, which Michael was talking about, the spike in the VIX or the collapse in investor sentiment or consumer confidence, that all happened around February 2018. So really that coincided with that first low that was made in 2018, and the market began to stage its recovery. I I don't blame any business or investor for saying, look, there's so much uncertainty, I can't make a decision. I think that's why Rick Reeder's talking about animals in hibernation. But as we start to think about the second half of this year, first of all, we've already had the collapse in sentiment. We've seen $850 billion of cash raised over the past year on money market balances. And then in the second half, we're looking for possibly tax reform, which really propelled stocks in 2017. So I think that the odds of a V-shaped recovery in stocks that come after April 2 is just extremely high because we've already sequenced a lot of the panic that people saw in 2018. I think it's already taken place.
So V-shape is essentially a dip down and a dip up for those of you that aren't familiar with it. Now, a lot of this is pandemic stuff, stimmies, printing money. All of this was prior to Donald Trump and the administration coming in. There is a clear reason why AI companies, other software companies, car manufacturing companies are investing in the United States because they feel ultimately confident long-term that United States is going to be good. There's a reason for it because they know that it is going to potentially be a little bumpy, but by the time the bump is done, they are already in. They are already in. They're already manufacturing vehicles. Then guess what? Tariffs are in place. Now, these other manufacturers that didn't want, to bring their workforce and their manufacturing over here, they're going to be hurting. And they're going to be hurting for a long time if they don't get their butt up with the administration. Let me know your guys' thoughts about that. Drop it in the chat. I'm going to run through some of these chats here. Tariffs, Incoherent Clam says, tariffs keep us from paying income tax. Remember the good old days. Yep. How many recalls from Walmart? How many recalls have been from Walmart? Here's to us frugal folks. Global recession is predicted, and it's not Trump's fault. This has been brewing since COVID. This is what LJ writes. What's going on, Jen? Thanks for catching the live. The last person prior to Trump to take debt seriously and the job market was Ross Perot. There are some good speeches on Ross Perot breaking down outsourcing and debt. This live's a little, economic based, but this is important because everybody here, we spend money. We are a valuable asset to the United States of America. We are consumers. We are, we help this thing go. So I find it important to let everybody know, say, hey, this is what's going to happen, and not be fear mongered by the bull crap from the legacy media. Because if you pull up an article, Trump recession, all this other stuff, it's going to pull up and they're going to talk all this crap. This is Trump's fault, whatever. Faye says, thank you, Tyson. Haven't seen this. I trusted Doge already, but this is going to ease a lot of minds and nerves. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Tariffs already working. For example, Honda made a deal to build cars in Indiana instead of Mexico. Hyundai, United Healthcare System gives $200 a month to shop at Walmart, Walgreens, or Dollar Tree. You lose it or you lose it. Stephanie writes, if there's any illegals in the chat, hola amigos, hola mi hombres, mi señoritas. If there's any illegals in the chat, can I borrow tree fitty? Oh. All right, we jumping into the next topic here. Be sure to smash the like button if you kindly would. Trump team's really digging us out of a deep hole. A deep hole. Like Jasmine Crockett, a deep hole. Or Kamala Harris, a deep hole.
Doge was in the building. We took down our pride flags. I took out any books I felt would be incriminating.
Joining me now is Sam Korkos, who's a special advisor within the U.S. Treasury Department. He's also CEO and co-founder of Levels, which is a really cool health and wellness software company. Also joining me, he's getting second billing tonight, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. We'll get back to you, Mr. Secretary, in a moment. But Sam, let's start with you. Like, no one knows much about all of you guys who are working together, and I know you work at Treasury now. Tell us what brought you here into Washington and what your top priority is.
Yeah, I've been brought in to look at the IRS's modernization program in particular, as well as the operations and maintenance budget. I really care a lot about this country, and this is a huge program that's currently 30 years behind schedule, and it's already $15 billion over budget.
Wait a second. Explain to our viewers what the program is in layman's terms.
Yeah, so the goal is to take, the IRS has some pretty legacy infrastructure. It's actually very similar to what banks have been using. It's old mainframes running COBOL and assembly. And the challenge has been, how do we migrate that to a modern system? Virtually every bank has already done this, but we're still using a lot of those same systems. And typically in industry, this takes a few years, maybe a few $100 million. And we're now 35 years into this program. We've actually been, if you ask them now, it's 5 years away. And it's been 5 years away since 1990. It's supposed to be delivered in 1996, and it's still 5 years away.
In your area of expertise that informs your ability to do this review is what?
I'm a software developer by background, and I'm a CEO of a software technology company.
So when you came into the department, the first thing you do is just get into the guts of the system and see how it operates?
Yeah, really talk to the software developers, talk to the people on the ground and what they're seeing. I think one encouraging thing is we actually have quite a lot of software talent on the ground, the people writing code. We actually have quite a lot of good people. It is almost always the case that when I ask them what the correct answer is, how do we solve these problems, they're almost always right, which is good. They just haven't been in a position to be empowered to make those decisions. So I'm actually pretty optimistic that we can solve this.
Secretary Bessent, why has this taken so long? I mean, Sam seems, obviously very, very successful, extremely intelligent, but I assume we have other Sams in the United States. We could have had a Sam 15 years ago come in and fix this. What is going on?
Well, Laura.
And that's the sad thing. Nobody wanted to take this seriously. They said, oh, let's continue to print money. We're fine. Give out stimmies. We'll upgrade our systems. 1996. They've been trying to work on this. It's crazy.
You've been in D.C. a long time. I've been here 8 weeks, but one of the biggest surprises for me is just seeing how these entrenched interests, they just keep constricting themselves around the power, around the money, around the systems, and nobody cares. I mean, I said to Sam today, I said, the IRS system was supposed to be delivered in 1996. And he said, no, but it was started in 1990. So that's how far behind they are, and nobody cares. And the other thing we're seeing too is, as Sam said, some of the employees, many of the employees are fantastic. It's this consultant group who has they're like a boa constrictor, they're like a python. They've got themselves
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Python language. Yeah. All you coders have them.
It was intended. So
yeah. Okay. Smarty pants. Thanks.
But they've constricted themselves around our government, and the costs are unbelievable that are being passed on to the American taxpayer.
Okay, so Sam, again, you come in from this tech company. You've been in directing engineering teams. You've been doing your own coding and software engineering for so many years. But you come in here and you see this is one of the most important departments in the world, not just in our government, in the world. and you see how this has been organized and run for so many years. What, as a human being, forget what is your reaction to that?
It's
Were you stunned as I am just hearing about this?
yeah, it's
Of course he's stunned. This dude's a computer engineer. Come into quote unquote the United States as a business, and then you see computers with Windows 92 on them using MS-DOS systems, tracking Social Security and processing retirement paperwork. But yet, we got people making millions of dollars. Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, all these folks making money. Wonder where all the money's going. It's pretty easy to identify it.
it's hard to really grasp the scale of this because we process at the IRS about the same amount of data as a mid-sized bank. And a typical mid-sized bank will have somewhere between 1 and 200 people in IT, and they'll have an operations and maintenance budget in like the $20 million a year range. We have 8,000 people in IT, and our operations and maintenance budget is $3.5 billion a year. I don't really know why yet, but I will tell you that 80% of that budget goes to contractors and licenses.
So the contractors and putting these projects out to bid, Mr. Secretary, how big a problem has that been?
Well, clearly it's a problem, and that's why when you and I were talking the other night, that's why I wanted to bring Sam in, because I just gotten a briefing from him, and my jaw hit the ground when he was talking about the cost, the timeline. As you know, we talked about it before. I have 3 priorities with the IRS: collections, privacy, customer service, and none of those are being well served. I mean, look at the scale of this.
And Sam, for Americans watching this tonight who've heard all these stories about the people brought in to dismantle the government and rip it apart and destroy people's lives, you didn't have to do this. You have a lot of priorities in the business world. But again, like Musk and like people even younger than you who came in, they got the world on a string. So what do you say to those people who are hearing all these frightening stories about what you and the Doge Bros, as they're called, are doing?
Yeah, this is definitely not on my bingo card for this year. I was very much planning to continue to focus on my company. We have a 15-month-old boy. It's been really fun, but I got a lot of friends of mine in administration telling me how serious the situation is. And so I'm taking some time to really focus on this. I think it is.
I just got the chills. I got to pause this because I just got the chills. You know, when somebody like this, you know, is already making millions of dollars, and his colleagues say, "Hey, man, we really need your support. You could come in, you could help do all this stuff." It shows the patriotism. It just shows it. These people don't need to do this. They're going to continue to make money no matter what, but they want to help America.
It is a huge part of our government is collecting taxes. We cannot perform the basic functions of tax collection without paying a toll to all these contractors. We really have to figure out how to get out of this hole. We're in a really deep hole right now.
IRS employees, according to CNN, claim that you were basically ignorant about how the agency works. I guess you were supposed to know everything before you got there, but that's what they're saying. Your response to that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I don't know that I'm learning now. I think I know a lot about software systems. That's why I was brought in. So that's the main focus: is how do we turn this around? We have a $3.5 billion operations and maintenance budget. We have a $3.7 billion modernization effort within IT. That's a lot of budget, and we are way beyond any reasonable cost for what you would expect at a private company for this.
What has been the biggest surprise? You, again, Secretary Bessent's, been in the business world as well, but he heard it from me. But when you first saw this, what was the biggest surprise that you found at that Department of Treasury?
I would say it's the disconnect between leadership and the people actually doing the work is a big one. I would say that it doesn't take a lot, just somebody who cares to solve these problems. You find contracts that are 10, 20, 30, $50 million, and you just ask, like, why are we doing this? And it's just like, I don't know. And then you cancel it, and then nothing happens. It's just inertia has just taken over.
What? I mean, okay.
You guys remember when that they were talking about the K-Cups, the styrofoam cups, the napkins? They were spending millions and millions of dollars on K-Cups, coffee, the little coffee things that go in the coffee machines. I think they're called K-Cups. They don't even know where the money was going.